Queer theory is all about identifying, analyzing, and critiquing the norms that persist in society. It is concerned with how these norms and the discrimination that come along with it influences and affects people and their societies. A prevalent norm that pops up throughout the study of queer theory is people's insistence to discriminate against others. Queer theory, unlike gay and lesbian theory, focuses on the close examination of the socially constructed nature outside of gender and sexuality, and focuses more on the intersectionality of minority categories. Race is such a prevalent marker in American society because of the idea of the white body. This leads us to the discussion on white supremacy. White supremacy is a topic queer theory returns to again and again. It is the base for the patriarchal society that we currently live in, and it's also the base we strive away from in order to create a more egalitarian society. A very influential part of the discrimination of race in society is film trends. So much of society is exposed to films in some way or another, whether it be through ads on social media or other platforms, or actually watching on at home or in the theater. Yet anyone who does not fit in a privileged stereotype is underrepresented in films, and no one with the influence to do anything about it is willing to go through the steps to drastically change that. In fact, there was a prominent white cis male director that made a comment on the black actors and actresses requesting for more roles for them. He replied to their requests by saying if they want more roles in films about themselves, then they should be the ones to direct it and produce it. This resulted in Jordan Peele's first film, which also won an Oscar, Get Out, and its legacy film, Us. Films have been more progressive in terms of including more people of color in today's media, and while it's a start, there's still a long way to go before supremacy loses its foothold in the industry and allows for people of all races equal standing and influence on the stage. Class encompasses discrimination because American society puts so much stock in the importance of money that those with less are considered less than. Something that is discussed back and forth in queer theory involving class and money systems is the idea of neoliberalism. People may argue that this is discrimination can be fixed by following neoliberal ideologies and taking the market out of the government sphere and putting it in the private sphere, but that will only make discrimination worse. It is a conservative ideology that puts free will first, arguing that by doing so, equality and freedom will come. But in a neoliberal society, things such as civil rights and welfare go poof. This will make the poor poorer and the rich richer, which in turn make discrimination even worse. Neoliberalism wants to do away with capitalism, but it is capitalism, and that has allowed for society, culture, and identities to grow. For example, with the emergence of capitalism also came queer identities, and the increased autonomy allowing it to be so. The need for money may have birthed capitalism, but it is the freedom provided by capitalism that has allowed for queer identities to form and prosper. Queer theory has argued that neoliberalism would grind the discovery and growth of identities in America to a halt and make class distinctions and discriminations worse. Instead, it proposes that the only way for this class gap to be done away with is to have a system based on equity instead of equality.
Is intelligent, capable of language.
Language is a little different. It has discrimination that plays throughout multiple cultures and different countries. It is discrimination of the spoken word, and the different ways of discriminating depends on the language that is being spoken. Libraries are the hub of influence when it comes to language in respect to knowledge and power. It is the epicenter of the written word in education. They are the spaces of control, not just over the actions sanctioned and performed in their institutions, but also the materials being presented and showcased. The language that is allowed to have a voice, the very thing that would allow change. The Library of Congress classification and Library of Congress subject headings cater to those social and political materials that already hold power and tend to force those that do not into the shadows and hide them away into unused corners. Librarians have worked to fix this trend and have argued for the expansion and correction of subject headings that would bring the less powerful into the light and allow them the respect they are due. But the queer perspective challenges the possibility that classification and subject language can ever be corrected. This suggests that rather than attempting to resolve the paradox of queer classification and cataloging, that instead we should be trying to embrace and extend the user's engagement with it. Only then will change be made and the voices be considered lesser by given the spaces of power and freedom in the library and be given the chance to influence language and education.
My right, ladies and men, and my non binary friends,